Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I want to talk about the rewards you can get for beating the final boss of Remnant 2, the Dark Horizon DLC, as well as some other things that you want to do along your way while doing the adventure, so that way you can get some additional rewards after the adventure is over. And these things are easily missable. They are best done in the one-shot, but as long as you are on these areas of Nerude where you do have the gliders to fly around, you can complete these side objectives. So first and foremost, you're going to proceed through and you're definitely going to want to find Spark. Spark is an NPC who can eventually become a vendor in Ward 13 if you make the right decisions. Now, I'll do a different video on the full Spark quest and also everything you do after the campaign is over to essentially get all the items that Spark sells. But for now, just make sure you find Spark and talk to them so that way you can select the options of essentially bringing the robot back to Earth. Or you can, in the gameplay you see that I'm doing, select Earth as well, and that will allow you to, after you beat the final boss, bring Spark to Ward 13. So definitely keep that in mind if you want to have Spark as a vendor, and also if you want to select the right narrative paths, you can just select the ones that I pick in the gameplay. You also want to talk to the Gardener. The Gardener is pretty straightforward. Just talk to them consistently. They are going to be on your straightforward path as you are going through the adventure in order to essentially get another item once the final boss is defeated. There are a couple different options there, so keep that in mind. But make sure you talk to them and essentially go through all the different dialogue options for not only the story content and understanding what's going on with the DLC, but also so that way you understand how to get the items at the very end.
I'd like to meet the people of Orth. If I cataloged Orth, I would fulfill my mission. Yes, very much. Spare not darkness, nor threat of ages eons. Hold no fear in the face, the open jaws of our Creator. Recalibration. I can't leave Nerude right now. A strange voice overwrote my current operation. I must keep going around and around this sector. Again and again. Processing. I would regain control of my protocol. Then I could go with you. While you fulfill your mission, I'll be here. Or over there. Or elsewhere. Am I malfunctioning?
Finally, there are going to be some floating crystals that you are going to want to shoot. There's 2 of them that can be found throughout the adventure. Now, whether you shoot them or not will determine which boss variety you get and what weapon you get upon beating the boss, what weapon you can craft. In my opinion, the best way forward is to shoot them the first time because you will get the best weapon in the DLC by far, in my opinion, the Dark Matter Gauntlets. Otherwise, you will get the monorail, which I think is very good, but is not as much fun as the Dark Matter Gauntlets, in my opinion. Anyway, after you've done all that, you either shoot the crystals or decide not to. You can actually, if you already have the Dark Matter Gauntlets and just want the monorail, pretty much beeline and skip every dungeon in a new adventure on Nerude with this tile set, and just go right to the final boss and fight it almost instantly. It's pretty insane how quick you can do if you're just looking to get the monorail. But anyway, you're going to fight Alepsis Tora. Couple different options there with the boss fight. Nothing's too difficult on the easier difficulties. I did this on veteran because I was essentially just hunting for as many of the items as possible without having to worry about the challenge as much. Whereas if you do it on a harder difficulty, it could be a bit more challenging. Now, I did it the first time to get the Dark Matter Gauntlet. So I'm going to go through the items now Dark Matter Gauntlets, you'll get the Black Mass item, which you take to McCabe to craft in Ward 13. The Black Matter Gauntlets are melee fist weapons that are absolutely insane. Crit chance of 5%, damage 50, weak spot damage 110, stagger modifier 5%. But it's the Killanova mod that's absolutely insane. Charge melee empowers the gauntlets for 15 seconds, increases standard melee damage by 25%, and causes charge melee attacks to release 8 meters penetrating blast. Each blast reduces the duration. While empowered, performing a charge melee attack during a neutral backdash gathers power for up to 5 seconds. Then fires the Darkness Beam that deals 125 melee damage. Every 0.5 seconds, the beam duration equals its time charge, then ends Killanova after firing. The Darkness Beam looks like a Kamehameha wave from like Dragon Ball Z. It's absolutely insane, and I really do love it. I think this is one of the best new weapons they've added in any of the DLC, to be honest, and I highly recommend chasing this down. It definitely will make some viable melee builds very fun, and so that's why it would be my first selection. Just make sure if you want to get it, you shoot those crystals and kind of get the lowdown from them as well. The voice, the Alepsis Tor, will talk to you as you shoot those crystals as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Now next up is the monorail. This one is actually quite fun and pretty good. It is a long gun that has 125 damage, 60 RPS, and then a magazine of 3. So not a lot of shots. But it does have the mod recoil dampener. Activation stabilizes monorail, increasing charge speed by 25%, reducing recoil and sway by 75%. Additionally, for each 5% of the charge meter filled up upon firing, gain 1% critical chance and critical damage, max 20%. If you run a crit build and want to run a railgun, this is it. It is absolutely awesome, and I think it will be a very valuable weapon. I don't find it as fun as the gauntlets, but this is also a very good weapon. Both of the final boss weapons are definitely the ones that you should be chasing as soon as possible, especially as you're making builds for the boss rush mode. Now, I mentioned earlier there's a couple things to do after you beat the final boss. One is to go talk to the gardener. If you talk to him and you go through his dialogue after beating the final boss, you are going to see him disappear. You'll see in the gameplay, and he'll drop a ring on the ground called the Custodian's Bastion. This says increases armor by 1 per 2% of active shield, max 100 bonus armor. Could be a pretty good ring depending on circumstances, and definitely one that you want to pick up after completing the adventure. Don't just skip that re-roll right away, because you definitely want to pick this up first, just so you don't miss it.
It was the only path. I live only to oversee the Drazir. I'm sorry.
Next up, you're going to want to go to Spark. Spark, again, will be in a random location. You'll see where I find him in the gameplay, but again, it is one of those things where the best place is just to look in the open areas where you might find him, maybe where you found him earlier in the adventure. Keep track of that, because he will be findable, and especially remember, you have to talk to him a couple different times, because what he'll do is he'll be sleeping essentially. I think it's a she actually, but they'll be sleeping, and you'll be able to essentially talk to him. Finally, they'll respond, and you'll go through the dialogue, invite them to Ward 13, and finally be able to have that as a new vendor. Now, again, at the end of the day, if you haven't done this on your main one-shot, you can go back through and try this again, and you're going to want to do it at least twice in order to get multiple weapons, so keep that in mind. But ultimately, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video as always, comment, subscribe. My name is Jopa. Again, I hope you enjoyed. And Remnant 2, the Dark Horizon DLC, I'm going to do a review on it tomorrow. I think the game has been very, very good, and I've really enjoyed it. Boss Rush mode has been great, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Anyway, my name is Jopa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.